Facebook page there. Feel free to go over there and interact with the people that are there. We're going to talk a little bit about something Paul Feinbaum said. Now, Paul Feinbaum is an SEC rat. Let's just make sure that we put that out there. This is a guy that is basically, he pretty much does whatever the SEC tells him to do. But he did say something interesting. And when you say something interesting, I'm more than willing to talk about it a little bit. So we'll get into that. I got to get with Tyler in a moment here about Julio Jones possibly being traded. That's definitely in the mix there. But I got to start with some news from the NFL that kind of hit me in the face there for a moment. The Green Bay Packers are basically being held up by Aaron Rodgers. Now, I'm a guy that loves the Green Bay Packers. Okay, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. Love the Packers. So I'm coming at you from this perspective of, I'm a Packers fan, and this bothers me. But basically, he is upset, supposedly, that Jordan Love is drafted and is going to be the quarterbacks, theoretically, that is the future for the Green Bay Packers. Now, here's the problem with that. He shouldn't have an issue with that. He's 37 years old. Get over yourself a little bit. The Green Bay Packers existed before you were there. They're going to be there when you're gone. I hate to break that to you. But where are they at? As of right now, Dan Graziano from ESPN said this morning on Get Up that basically, we're kind of at an impasse. Here are some of his thoughts this morning from ESPN's Get Up.
Things have quieted down, certainly since draft day. The Packers still hope and believe that there's a chance he'll be back with them as their starting quarterback this year. Question is, what will that take? And there have been conversations between Aaron Rodgers' camp and the Packers about a new contract. And now I think that's interesting when you look at the Packers and the way they do business. The willingness to do a new contract tells you that they're willing to bend a little bit in Aaron Rodgers' direction, whether Ron Wolf likes it or not. It's just a question of what that number is, and is it high enough to get him back? Do they have to do something with Jordan Love to convince him that he's no longer a threat to his long-term future there? So certainly not resolved, or not necessarily close to being resolved. But right now the Packers' mindset is more about finding a way back to Aaron Rodgers as their starter versus moving on from him.
Okay, so that's Dan Graziano from ESPN's Get Up. The one thing that's interesting there is he said, the Packers are talking about doing another contract. Wait a minute. Let me make sure I understand this. Aaron Rodgers is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. I don't think you can argue with me on that. You can put him up there with 4 other guys and say, okay, he's great. But in the end, it comes down to this. Why would you do another contract with him the way that he's doing things now? He acted like a child on draft day. Like a large child. And I appreciate what Aaron Rodgers has done for the franchise, but in the end, you're acting like a baby. And shame on you for that. So, where do the Packers go from here? Well, if they can trade him, trade him. By the way, nobody's really talked about this, but why not send him to Houston? Do something where he goes to Houston and Deshaun Watson goes to Green Bay. The cap numbers would be close to the same. They don't have a quarterback there that's going to challenge Aaron Rodgers anyway, but Aaron Rodgers will probably end up making Houston a 6-win team because there's nothing around them. And then maybe he'll be a little more respectful of what Green Bay has done, where they have, I think, the 3rd best offensive line in the NFL. They rank, I think, 5th as far as Pro Football Focus goes, as far as their wide receivers. Got a good running back. Organization's pretty much on top, a good young coach. Yeah, they got all of that. All of that. Maybe he would appreciate that a little bit more when he goes to a gong show like Houston. Just saying. When you're spoiled so much and then it comes back to bite you, you kind of feel it. Anyway, we're talking about that this afternoon. with Aaron Rodgers. What's going to happen with him? Feel free to call us up on that at 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on The Rundown, right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. As we roll along here on a Thursday, we're getting to that point where the talking season is almost here. Get your football magazines are going to be coming out. Some interesting stuff there with who thinks what of what. And what I mean by that is you look at some of the Las Vegas lines yesterday. We talked about that, where you can go to FanDuel right now and get LSU plus 24 at Alabama. Speaking of that, Paul Feinbaum was interesting with something that he said, which was normally Paul Feinbaum is in the camp of, hey, I'm just going to say whatever I need to say to make sure Nick Saban's not mad at me. Yesterday, though, was a little bit different when Paul Feinbaum said this.
I think Alabama, if you gave me the Vegas odds, do I think Alabama is going to be undefeated or will lose a game? I would probably take lose a game.
So that's the question for you today. Does Alabama lose a regular season game? And who's got a better chance to lose a regular season game, Alabama or Clemson? You can make the argument Clemson has, when you look at their schedule, it's pretty much Georgia. It's like, remember we were kids, or I say we were kids, living here in the South, in South Carolina. You go to Carowinds when you were a kid, and they had the big wooden roller coaster. And, you know, you have that thing where it's like right up to the top. Clemson's schedule is like that. After that Georgia game, it's all downhill from there. I venture to say the rest of Clemson's schedule, they'll be at least a 2-touchdown favorite the rest of the way. That Georgia matchup, though, is going to be the closest of the season. Now, with Alabama, when you look at their schedule, according to odds makers, they're going to be double-digit favorites against everybody. Does that say more about Alabama or more about their schedule? These are the things we talk about as we get ready to kick off the talking season. 803-978-1832. Paul Feinbaum thinks they're probably not going to go undefeated.
I think Alabama, if you gave me the Vegas odds, do I think Alabama is going to be undefeated or will lose a game? I would probably take lose a game.
Yeah. I mean, this guy is the head water bucket carrier there for Nick Saban, and he thinks they're going to lose a game. Which one do you think they lose? Is it the Texas A&M game? Is it LSU? Or do they stub their toe against somebody that they're not supposed to? I'm pointing fingers at you, Lane Kiffin, and Ole Miss. You know, the guy that you get in there and bring him up to 39 points a game, that guy. Matt Corral, who in theory is probably going to be, wouldn't surprise me, as your all-SEC first-team quarterback in the preseason. Slow down, Georgia fans. I know JT Daniels is great. But as far as numbers, Matt Corral's put up better numbers. Just saying. Boy, that's something that makes Georgia fans angry, by the way. When you talk about Matt Corral maybe end up being a better quarterback, he may be. Let's not forget it. You could talk about he was injured, etc., but Matt Corral's been out there, plays that SEC schedule that you all say is the absolute best ever, and put up huge numbers. If I were going to SEC Media Days, he would be my first-team quarterback. He absolutely would. Daniels would probably be second, and then third would probably go to the quarterback from Mizzou, Connor Badazalak. Carolina Jackpot checking in online. One of my favorite people on this planet. He says Alabama is definitely getting shelled by Brian Carson on the plains. Clem Dump Sands Lake. Thank you for interacting with the show, Mr. Carolina Jackpot, who is always welcome to call at 803-978-1832. I think that game is not going to be that vocal, to be honest with you. I think that the Harsin experience is going to be a disaster. Let's just make sure we understand this. They ran off a guy who in 8 meetings with Nick Saban won 3 of them. That doesn't happen very often. You think this guy's going to go out and after this season when Alabama stomps them, because they don't have a lot of talent there right now, you think the Auburn fans are going to just kick back and be like, oh, that's all right. He gets 4 or 5 years. We brought him in from the Mountain West. We they're going to be screaming for the sweater vest of Gus Malzahn quickly. Brock says Saban won't know how to handle that explosive Mike Bobo offense. You folks in the chat room today are heavy on the sarcasm. Heavy on the sarcasm today. And I appreciate it. I do. Anyway, who do you think Alabama does lose to if they lose? 803-978-1832. And who has a better chance to run perfect? Clemson or Alabama? 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial. Some folks are going to say, hey, Alabama's got to go to the swamp. Yeah, okay. I can see that. That could be potentially a tough game down there. Alabama's got to play Texas A&M. Alabama's got to play LSU. They got to play Auburn at the end of the year. Yeah, you've got some games that could stub your toe a little bit there. But do they go undefeated? 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. And is Aaron Rodgers being a baby? File me under yes for that. What a mess. I got to play this clip again from Dan Graziano. It just, the line with, oh, they're going to try to get him a new contract. Ridiculous. From ESPN Get Up this morning.
Things have quieted down certainly since draft day. The Packers still hope and believe that there's a chance he'll be back with them as their starting quarterback this year. Question is, what will that take? And there have been conversations between Aaron Rodgers' camp and the Packers about a new contract. And now I think that's interesting when you look at the Packers and the way they do business. The willingness to do a new contract tells you that they're willing to bend a little bit in Aaron Rodgers' direction, whether Ron Wolf likes it or not. It's just a question of what that number is, and is it high enough to get him back? Do they have to do something with Jordan Love to convince him that he's no longer a threat to his long-term future there? So certainly not resolved, or not necessarily close to being resolved. But right now the Packers' mindset is more about finding a way back to Aaron Rodgers as their starter versus moving on from him.
Yeah, let him walk. How about that? No one said that. Hey, Aaron Rodgers, guess what? You've done a lot for us. We're going to trade you, sir. Let's try that. Put the ball in his court a little bit. How about you leave here and everything where we've put everything together to make you a winner? Last year, you just had some issues in the NFC Championship game. Why not? Why not tell him put the ball in his court? All right, you want to go? Fine. We're going to trade you here. You want to go play for the Jets? You want to go play for the Texans? You want to go play for the Lions? I mean, insert team here. You want to get out of here? Let's go. That's what we'll do for you. Because we drafted a young man we've got a lot of faith in. And guess what? I'd rather ride or die with him because he wants to be here. He wants to be the guy that's running out there with the Green Bay Packers logo on his helmet. You obviously have forgotten you are paid to play a child's game. And yes, I know that you can get your brains beat in out there. I get that. You're one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, sir. Playing for one of the premier franchises in the league. And you want to act like a complete idiot. Shame on you for that, man. They shouldn't be giving him a new contract. They should be trading him. Goodbye. You don't want to honor what we've got here, what we've done for you? We drafted you to replace Brett Favre, and he acted like an idiot. Now you're put in the same bench, and what do? You act like an idiot. Your ego is so big, you think you're the absolute greatest ever, and hey, your numbers show you're one of the better quarterbacks. I'll give you that. But the reality is that the Green Bay Packers 5 years from now, when you're 42 years old and you're retired out in California, watching the sun go down in Malibu, they'll still be playing football here. Just saying. They need to think about that. All right, 803-978-1832. Tyler Crowder joins us here in a little bit. We'll talk with him about the Atlanta Braves last night, Ronald Acuna Jr. I tell you what, the baseball's kind of fallen off the cliff a little bit here with getting young fans to watch. But if you want young fans to watch, make them watch Ronald Acuna Jr. play. This guy last night, if you're a Braves fan, my Twitter goes off like right at the end of the game because let's be honest, the Braves needed that win over the Mets. I know it's in May, and if you listen to the show, I've said don't really check the standings until after Memorial Day. The Braves needed that win. If they'd have dropped that game, they would have been 5 games back of and not looking very good. He comes up and hits a walk-off homer and basically gives them the cutoff sign of like, let them know, hey, that just happened to you. I just did that. I just hit that ball into the bullpen. Take your stuff and get the hell out of here, New York. That's basically what that was. Now, granted, the next time he goes out, they're probably going to throw at his head because that's the unwritten rule of baseball. But if you're a Braves fan, that was a heck of a sight last night. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Tyler Crowder joins us when we come back right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Don't forget, Lawton Swan follows me this afternoon. He's on with Clemson Sports Talk from 4 to 6. Be sure to check out his show, and he'll take care of you on the ride home. Special thanks to the folks that listen to the podcast. Big numbers this month for the podcast. Not trying to make myself look like I'm doing just this absolutely wonderful show, but this year's numbers are bigger than last year's numbers. And then when you work in at a big radio company like this, they see that. They're like, oh, look, Rob's progressing. Imagine that. All right, more of the rundown in just a moment. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. Brock, you got me with the Bobo comment. My God. Someone did ask me the other day about the people that are in the chat room, and I just told them, I'm like, they're just random folks, man. They take time out of their day to come hang out. Like, I've met some of you. I've met Jerome. I've met, of course, Jimmy. Jimmy's my buddy. Love me some Jimmy. Alan wants a Rob tank top with sequins on it. Jackpot's a jerk off. We know that.
Solar opposites looking fire. The Handmaid's Tale. Shrill. What's up, Palm Springs? Don't be weird about it. With everything you love, the choice is easy. Time to
Welcome back to the Rundown. Follow Rob on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good.
Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. As I put my headset on to welcome in friend of the program, my buddy from down in Georgia, the man who is like right in the heartbeat of the Georgia program and the Auburn program. When he goes to the grocery store, he sees plenty of Georgia hats and plenty of Auburn hats. He is my buddy, Tyler Crowder. Tyler, what is up, my friend?
What's up, Rob? Thanks for having me on.
You all right today, brother? You ready to get after it?
I'm ready to go.
All right, brother. Well, we got some interesting stuff. I got one college football question for you. Who do you think loses a game this season, Alabama or Clemson? Which one will go undefeated in your mind?
If I had to pick one because of the conference they're in, I'm going to go Clemson. But that first game with UGA, I mean, that's a toss-up right now. So I would probably go with Clemson. Alabama's breaking in a new quarterback. They've lost the game before and still competed for SEC and national championships. So I would go Clemson on that one just based on the schedule. But they do open up with Georgia. So, I mean, they could lose that game easily, but they could also win it. So I'd go Clemson on that one.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. And there is a report out there that Ohio State and Oregon, they're going to play together this season, but they're also scheduling games in 2032 and 2033. Alabama is getting on board with that, where they're going to schedule some home games. Who would you like to see the Crimson Tide schedule a home and home with that's not named Clemson?
I mean, hey, let me see. That's a good question. Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma, Alabama would be good matchups. That's the first team that kind of comes to my mind. Ohio State, Alabama. I mean, I think those two matchups would be really, really good as well. So USC, they played them before.
How about Texas?
Yeah, probably Oklahoma. Oklahoma, Alabama. I think that would be a really good matchup.
You like Texas?
Yeah, Texas, and then you have Steve Sarkisian. Yeah, that makes sense.
I like the idea of Alabama and Texas. I don't know why that's like in my head. Like that would be great, but Alabama and Texas or Alabama and Michigan. I think that would be, interesting to say the least. They got to get rid of Harbaugh.
It'd be interesting till the game was over and it was 42-6 Alabama.
I'm just going by program prestige, sir. I'm not. You're right. I'd give up 30. I'd take Alabama minus 30. I think it would mop the floor with Michigan. But yeah, good point there, man. I just think that's interesting that teams like the Crimson Tide, who normally don't schedule the home and homes, are going to have to do it. And when they do, it's going to be interesting to see who they select. Are they going to go the easy route? And hey, we'll do a home and home with
Georgia Southern.
Yeah, like can you imagine Alabama playing at Georgia Southern?
Hey, we played Georgia Southern at Alabama. I went to it when I was a senior. It was awesome. We lost, but we still scored 21 points and scored more points on their defense than anyone else that year.
Yeah. Well,
so
anyway.
that was the year they won that championship.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about Julio Jones. There's trade rumors out there for Julio Jones. How important is he to the Atlanta Falcons and their success this year? It just seems like the Falcons are kind of in a transition year. They weren't so bad last year that you had to completely rebuild, but this season is kind of a make or break type season. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I'd like to see Julio Jones in this Arthur Smith offense with Matt Ryan and Kyle Pitts, the new tight end they drafted from Florida, and Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage from LSU. Then they sprinkle in Mike Davis, the former South Carolina running back. So, I mean, this offense has a chance to be very dynamic and very scary. Julio Jones, yes, has 3 years left on his deal. I think it's like he's owed anywhere between $30 and $45 million, which if you think about it, for a top-tier wide receiver, that's really not that bad. Julio Jones, yes, did not stay healthy last year, but the previous 5 seasons he was healthy, played at least 15 or 14 games. And I'd like to see him in this Arthur Smith offense. He's the single most important player to Matt Ryan's career. He came out and said it the other day. If I'm Matt Ryan, I'm telling management, why are we trying to get rid of Julio Jones this season? I understand if you want to move on him next year, clear up some cap space, but I want to see him in this offense with Kyle Pitts and the matchups they're able to create, and then just the good coaching that's going to be happening with Arthur Smith, the upgrade over Dirk Cutter, which is going to be night and day. I mean, you're going to see some major differences this year with this offense. So Julio Jones, very important to the Atlanta Falcons. I feel like if the Atlanta Falcons were going to do it, they should have done it near the draft. Maybe gotten a first, second, third round pick, something like that. Of course, they gave up a lot to go get Julio Jones 10 years ago as well. So Julio Jones, I feel like I don't know why you trade Julio Jones. He should retire in Atlanta Falcon. That's just my perspective. That's my fan. That's me talking as a fan as well. But Julio Jones, very important, Rob, to the Atlanta Falcons, and he should be there this year.
Here's the thing. Jeff Schultz of The Athletic reports that the Falcons would like to trade the 32-year-old receiver before the start of the season. They also put 3 potential spots out there. The Tennessee Titans, saying that he could team with Derrick Henry, who's the best running back in football, who's already tweeting out Titan TF up. He tweeted that out earlier today. The New England Patriots, could he go there? And Tom Online says Julio to the Patriots for Sony Michel and a 3rd-round pick. I don't know if that doesn't seem very worthwhile there, Tom.
We better get like 2 first-round picks or like a first-round pick and like a starter or something. I wouldn't move on him. I mean, he's more valuable than any draft pick or any player we're going to bring in.
And then finally, they've got the Los Angeles Chargers. They've already got Keenan Allen on the other side. Austin Eckler coming out of the backfield. I don't know if they've got enough as far as capital to bring Julio.
Yeah, the
Jones.
Baltimore Ravens have been mentioned.
I'm just in the camp of why in the world would you want to trade an all-world wide receiver, which is what Julio Jones is. I mean, you try to draft that, and those are the guys you sign. I don't get it. I don't get it. But maybe they're thinking that the Falcons have too many holes. We'll have to see how that works out. All right.
I got Calvin Ridley, too. And Calvin Ridley can be that number 1 wide receiver after Julio gets done. But, I mean, I think Julio Jones has at least 3 good years left and should finish out his contract with the Atlanta Falcons. So, I mean, I'm not sure Terry Fontenot is going to gain a lot of, respect and points if he comes in from the New Orleans Saints and just trades the best player in franchise history, one of, if not the best player in franchise history, Terry Fontenot. That would be, a bold move, but we'll see what happens.
Tyler Crowder, host of Kicking It with Crowder.
I say keep Julio.
All right. Well, Tyler Crowder, host of Kicking It with Crowder, joining us. You can check out his show. You can find it, the podcast, anywhere you get your favorite podcast, whether it's iTunes, the iHeartRadio app. It's all over the place. Spotify, you name it, you can find it. Now, I got to talk to you about last night with Ronald Acuna Jr. I tell you what, man, you can. That's who Major League Baseball needs to market to the young folks, because he is exciting. The way he goes up there last night, as soon as he hit that ball, he knew it was gone to send the Mets home packing.
Yeah, that was awesome. I was watching. And, I mean, first pitch, he jumped on it, and that was his first career walk-off home run. He's just so good in that leadoff spot. Him, people say Fernando Tatis, they'd rather start a franchise with him, but I'm rocking with Ronald Acuna on this one. I mean, he is a unbelievable player, a great talent, and yes, Rob Manfred and MLB needs to do everything in their power to market him and get him out there. And the Braves were very, very lucky a few years ago to offer him that $110 million contract at the time after his rookie year, the 10-year, $110 million contract, because he's worth $300, maybe $400 million. And in his next contract, he's going to get a big, big raise. Man, he's on a really good contract right now, team friendly for the Atlanta Braves. And Ronald Acuna is one of the best players, if not the best player in all of baseball. And you could seriously see him winning an MVP this year, followed by Freddie Freeman last year. So Braves could have two of the last MVPs in the National League.
That would be cool too. All right, final thing with Tyler here. Last night, LeBron James looked like he stubbed his toe, gets up, has dust in his eyes, hits a three pretty much from 40 feet out, it looked like.
35 feet.
Yeah, with Steph Curry like right in his face to put the Lakers in as the 7th seed. A gutty performance there by LeBron James, getting the triple double as the Lakers move on. But I'm a homer on this, but I think the Suns are a bad matchup for them. Man, everybody last night was talking about, they're gonna waltz right past the Suns. Have you watched the Phoenix Suns this year? You got to stop with that nonsense. I think that's going to be the best series in the Western Conference in the first round.
And the Lakers are betting favorites, but I'm telling you, the Suns, I mean, that's worth the series bet. They're like 3-1. The Lakers are like 3-1 favorites, which is shocking to me because, Chris Paul and Devin Booker and this, Mikal Bridges, he's really taken that step, the guard/forward from Villanova. So I'm excited to see the Phoenix Suns matchup versus the Lakers. And this is going 6 or 7 games right now. I'd probably lean Lakers, but would not be shocked at all if the Phoenix Suns upset, per se, the Lakers. Because this is a 2-7 matchup. I mean, come on. The Suns got rewarded with LeBron James and Anthony Davis coming off a championship last year. Like, that's pretty tough. You go out there and get the 2 seed. And this is who you got first round.
Well, a lot of it comes down to injuries for the Suns. If DeAndre Ayton is able to go, that's going to be a big deal. But Chris Paul, you can make an argument that he's kind of a dark horse to be the MVP of the league. So, man, I mean, and look at it from this perspective. The Suns won 51 games this year. That's an improvement from last year. They were one of the best teams in the bubble. Didn't lose a game in the bubble. Yeah, so
8-0 in the bubble.
Exactly. And, of course, Devin Booker doing his thing. But I thought that was interesting. But I think the play-in games have made it really interesting with, like last night's game. I mean, it felt like a playoff game. It really did.
Yeah, I was hoping there'd be a game 2 tonight versus the Lakers and the Warriors. Honestly, that was a great game. And the Warriors, watch out for them. I mean, I think that they beat the Grizzlies and sneak up, and now the Jazz have to face Steph Curry and the Warriors. So that could, there's some really good matchups in the West. 4-5, you have the Clippers and the Mavericks. And then you have Nuggets Blazers. So there's some great matchups this year. And look out for Devin Booker, Rob. I think he's waited long enough. It's his first playoff appearance, and I think he's trying to let people know he's a Jason Tatum-like player. I think Jason Tatum, Devin Booker are really comparable players. And I think Devin Booker, like Donovan Mitchell last year with the Jazz, trying to put his imprint on the league. And I think Devin Booker is going to have a great series versus the Lakers.
Tyler Crowder joining us, host of Kicking It with Crowder. You can find his podcast, of course, online. Look for wherever you get your favorite show, just Kicking It with Crowder. And you can also find him on the website, too, kickingitwithcrowder.com. Tyler, thanks for joining us today, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
All right, there you go. Tyler Crowder, host of Kicking It with Crowder. Follow him on Twitter at Kicking It with Crow. Take a quick break. We come back. We'll have more for you here on The Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yeah, Tyler knows his stuff, but he is an Atlanta Falcons apologist. TV ratings show that people do watch the playoffs. Lots of people last night were watching, hoping LeBron James would fail. When he's laying at like 12:30 at night, when he's laying down on the floor and it looks like someone stepped on his foot, I was watching. I was enamored with it. And by the way, I do cover the UFC too.
I had fantastic results with the Andro 400 Max.
In the playoffs, they've been better. There's still people watching. It's not like it's, the regular season numbers have been terrible. Athlon released their all SEC preseason football team. Anybody want to take a guess on how many Gamecocks are on the list? Yeah, I'll give you the Gamecock pitching rotation as soon as we get done talking football here.
This is Rob Parker. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by NHTSA.
The Hurricanes heading to Nashville with firm control of their Stanley Cup playoff series. Carolina up 2-0 after they blanked the Predators at home last night. 6 no-nos have already been tossed in the majors this season, including last night's step by New York's Corey Kluber. Record for a single season is 7. And Tim Tebow jerseys are on sale after the former Heisman winner officially...
Ding, ding. You got more than 2, though. Look at Tom. Tom's on top of it. You got more than 2. Tell me who you think the other 3 are. Oh, I just told you how many there were. My bad. 5 total players. Welcome back to the rundown here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. 5 players have been named from the Gamecocks to Athlon's 2021 preseason All-SEC football team. Tom got it right online. You got to go with Kevin Harris, the SEC's leading rusher. He is a first-team player, along with Kingsley Ingambare was named to the first team. Tight end Nick Muse, who seems like he's been at South Carolina for like 800 seasons. He checks in on the third team. Offensive lineman Dylan Wanham and defensive lineman Zach Pickens earned 4th team honors, according to that national publication. So, yeah, the Gamecocks apparently have 5 all SEC players. Look at that. You can't really argue with Harris and Ingambare. I know some Gamecock fans, even Muse talking about himself, maybe he should catch more balls, etc. on Twitter. But he makes the third team. And Dylan Wanham, I think he's kind of underrated. He's a really good offensive lineman there for the Gamecocks. So 5 players make the preseason all SEC team. With Ingambare and Kevin Harris leading the way. I think, I don't know if they released the ACC one yet either, but I'm sure that will be filled with Clemson players. Tom says Nick Muse has a drop every game consistently, though unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, he had Colin Hill throwing in the ball last year, though. You can make that argument. I don't know. I mean, Colin Hill's playing for an NFL team now, but man, there's a lot of hatred out there for Colin Hill. Anyway, once again, the 5 players to make the All-SEC preseason team. Kevin Harris, Kingsley Ingambare, all make the first team. Nick Muse, the third team selection. Dylan Wanham and Zach Pickens were fourth team selections. So we're going to keep this and see how they do throughout the season. We'll put that over there on the bookshelf of accountability. I think Ngbare, he if they could get him some help on one other side, man, that's why there's talent on that Carolina defensive line. There really is. I'm not saying it's game-changing, world-ending talent, but Ngbare is a good player. Athlon says he's a first-team All-SEC player. You don't get named that unless you're actually pretty good. Now, I'm not saying they're going to stop the world here, but I don't think it's going to be like a turnstile with that defensive line if they've got the proper coaching. And let's be honest, regardless of what you say about Willis, can we call him Willis Muschamp now that he's gone? They weren't very well coached last season. It's not, I mean, if they were, they would have made more plays, especially with J.C. Horn, the first defensive player taken in the NFL draft. They just weren't used correctly. All right, final break of the show. We'll take it. We'll have more for you here in a moment. This is the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. What about Sandage? Sandage should be good. Beggin Megan says 3 TDs. Beggin Megan, I'll tell you what. There's no way on this planet that Clemson loses to Georgia by 3 touchdowns. That is, that's not happening. I don't know why Beggin Megan thinks they're so great. Hilarious. Bless his sweet little heart. Oh, man. Oh, no. Oh, goodness. I'm looking at the All-SEC team. Looking at the All-SEC team. What do you see? Oh, my goodness. I will rename the Rob and Kale show the Beggin Megan House of Horrors podcast if Georgia wins by 21 points. It's not happening. You don't have anything to bet because, you haven't done anything since 1980. What are you going to give me, a Blondie record? Play a little Call Me record? Is that what you're going to give me? You probably got the vinyl track back from this was the number 1 hit when we won our last national title. Yeah, Clemson's won 3 then. Hilarious. Georgia fans are just so sweet. You just want to just tussle them on their head. Oh, bless your heart. You got an entirely different coaching staff, brother. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world in the iHeartRadio app. By the way, some of the rest of the SEC preseason all first team players. Georgia fans have been telling me, where's JT Daniels? Well, he's not on the all SEC first team for as far as quarterback. That would go to Matt Corral out at Ole Miss. That's interesting. So that's your all SEC preseason first team player. In fact, your all preseason second team offense. Surely that has to go to JT Daniels, right? I mean, JT Daniels has to be the second best quarterback in the league, right? Yeah, not so much. They're giving that to Bryce Young. I didn't write it. Don't tweet at me at Rob Sounds Good. Apparently, they don't think as much of the Georgia quarterbacks there. So, yeah, there you go with that. They for some reason, I think there's a typo here, and I'm goofing, but no, honestly, from the Athlon Sports that I'm looking at it right now, they don't have the third team. I would say that he has to be the third team quarterback. They didn't list the third team offense. They just list third team defense, third team specialist. They do list the fourth team offense, and they've got Emory Jones at Florida. I don't think that anyone in their right mind would put JT Daniels behind Emory Jones of Florida. So there's that. According to this, though, Alabama leads the way with 15 players selected, along with Georgia also has 15. Out to the phones we go. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rundown.
Hello, Rob. It's Bobby and Casey. How you doing?
Bobby, what's up, brother?
Good. I'm going to go off script from college football. I usually talk about that,
Sure.
but it passed by on Twitter yesterday. Yesterday would have been Andre the Giant Rusimov's 75th birthday.
You are absolutely right about that. An absolute living legend, or was a living legend in his time.
Yep.
And one of the shining marks of my childhood was watching Andre the Giant matches.
I was trying to think, did I ever see him wrestle live professionally in person at the Miami Beach Auditorium, Miami Beach Convention Center? No. But I saw him many times on Championship Wrestling from Florida with Gordon Soley. You might be old enough to know who he was. He was the dean of wrestling announcers.
Absolutely.
I did go to watch many shows promoted by Angelo Dundee's brother Chris Dundee at the Miami Beach Convention Center. Of course, he promoted boxing. Of course, younger people I know it. Angelo Dundee was Muhammad Ali's manager and trainer in the ring. So, but yeah. Yesterday was Andre the Giant's. Would have been his 75th
birthday. Yep, Andre the Giant. Yeah, just a great wrestler. You're right about that, man.
Yep, and Gordon Soley just named him the eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah,
because there were 7 wonders of the ancient world. Many of them are gone and destroyed. But just for anybody, you might elaborate. It's the end of your show that the Big Show was actually bigger than Andre the Giant. He was only about 6'10" from what I hear. Gordon Soley said he was 7'4" and like 550 pounds. But I had read some stuff. The Miami Herald, they did a piece every week about the backstories about it, and I believe I read that once. But the Big Show is actually, I think, from Blythewood or Liz in this area, is actually bigger than him. But
he's from Aiken.
Anyway, that regardless, he was a great person in and out of the ring. You know, he supposedly I think you might know this name, Playboy Gary Hart. My dad was reading an article.
Yeah.
Had someone peek backstage one time. There were enemies in the ring, but Gary Hart was sitting in Andre the Giant's lap and they were eating ice cream.
Good stuff, man. Hey,
I mean, what was that?
I know, go ahead. I'm sorry.
They draw stuff up as heel, the Indian, and the villain, the bad guy, and the good guy. But outside, you think they fight to the death in the ring, but they're like it's all stage, fake, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And they're friends outside the ring, most of them.
All right.
So,
well,
anyway, I hope you're feeling better. I hear you coughing up, man. So I hope you feel
I'm
a
on
little
my
bit
own,
better.
man. It just it's killing me. But thanks for joining the show, Bobby. Thanks a lot.
All right, take care. Have a good one.
Andre the Giant, his birthday was yesterday. I didn't bring it up because I forgot. One of the reasons I started watching wrestling, Andre the Giant. Remember WrestleMania 3, him and Hulk Hogan, and Andre the Giant was just huge, man. Big, huge guy. Tom says, wasn't he in The Princess Bride? Of course he was. Yeah, he was in The Princess Bride. Him and Carrie Elves, and I can't remember who else was with him, but yeah, he was in The Princess Bride. I had my daughters watch that. That movie still holds up, by the way. Some movies don't hold up. Like I was watching Wall Street the other night, the original Wall Street, as I was doing some other stuff. It was on the TV or whatever. And, you see what Michael Douglas walking on the beach with the cell phone that's like a brick. It just kind of makes the movie not quite hold up. But The Princess Bride still holds up. I think that's one of those like top 15 movies you got to show your kids. The Princess Bride definitely ranks up there. And Andre the Giant, of course, playing in it. And, he would have been 75 years old yesterday. What a monumental entertainer that he was. All right, so we do have baseball tonight with South Carolina playing Tennessee. That is a 4 versus, I don't know what the Gamecocks are ranked, like 21st, something like that. But tonight they will match up down at Founders Park. I'm sure Gamecock fans are going to pack Founders Park. It's the first sporting event in forever that you're going to have the capability to go down there and fill up that stadium. Hopefully that's the way that it goes for the Gamecocks as they play Tennessee tonight. I think they got to win that series if they want an opportunity to host a regional. So with that tonight, I'm trying to pull up the actual starting rotation as my notes are kind of silly here, but come on. Where is it? Okay. Yeah, tonight. Oh, come on. The notes aren't here. My notes are not loading in my stuff. But South Carolina tonight will play against Tennessee. Big matchup there. I think that first pitch is at 7:00. Then you're going to have the matchup with Duke and Clemson. Not necessarily completely on the level of anywhere being close to important as this matchup with Tennessee and South Carolina. But for Clemson to make the tournament, they're going to have, I think they got to sweep Duke. And by the way, Clemson's like one game over 500. If they lose this series to Duke, it'll be their first losing season since 1957. Write that down. I guarantee you they're going to take that series very, very seriously with Duke. So, yeah, there's that. Brock says he's never seen The Princess Bride. Well, go and watch it, sir. SCU says he thought it was a cartoon. No, it's not a cartoon. Go and watch The Princess Bride. My goodness. Why do I feel like I'm the old man yelling at the moon? I swear to you, if Lawton Swan texts me here momentarily like he normally does before the show and says to me, I didn't watch The Princess Bride, I may drive over to Castle Day Swan and slap him in his swanny snout. He'll sound a little more nasally on his show today, and you'll know why. You should listen to his show, by the way. Clemson Sports Talk right here on the Fox Sports Radio 1400 station here, of course, around the world, the iHeartRadio app. You can find him pretty much anywhere. Go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Yes, Swan's on from 4 to 6. My name is Rob. I'll be back with you tomorrow. We'll recap tonight's game with South Carolina and Tennessee and Clemson's game with Duke right here tomorrow on The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Go and watch The Princess Bride. You guys will appreciate that. Get a date and watch it. If you're not married, watch it with a date. That's like, women love that movie. It's a good movie. You guys rock. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for being a part of the day. Happy birthday, Alan. What are you, 806? Happy birthday, Alan. See you guys tomorrow.